Welcome everybody to the HolloTalk Podcast. This is Jetpack Nick, and I'm here with a very special guest today, Kesha. Say what's up to the people.
Hi.
How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I have you on the podcast. I'm very excited to have this conversation. Yeah, the people are in for a good one today. So, for the people who don't know who you are, can you let them know who you are, what you about, and what you do?
Yes. So my name is Kesha. I am a psychology major here in New York City, and I'm a huge mental health advocate.
Hey, so you heard first, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to have a conversation about mental health. You know, that's typical to the HolloTalk Podcast. That's what we do here. So, okay, so what specifically about mental health are like just like hot topics for you that you would like to talk about or that you don't think are talked about enough?
I think um, young adults, mental health in young adults who are unsupported, especially in college, and also people who don't really have the support from their parents. And this is another reason why the EOP, the Educational Opportunity Program, I really love because sorry, there's a skateboard in the back.
You good.
Um, but it's a educational opportunity that they give underrepresented students a chance in education.
Okay. Okay. Talk to me more about that.
It's 2 o'clock. That's what I said.
Okay. No, it's cool.
So, so basically, I come from underrepresented place in New York City. That's where my high school was, and so we didn't really have like the tutoring, and the education system was just not funded properly. So when the education system is not funded properly, you're not going to get good SAT scores, right? And then when you don't get good SAT scores, you don't go to a good college. So then you don't get into a good high-paying job.
Hmm.
This goes back into education and mental health because I personally struggled with mental health a lot during my freshman and sophomore year in college. And I'm here to tell people that like it's not impossible to have an education when there's so many things and so many barriers in your
Hmm. No, that's a fact. So we was having a conversation before, and this is stuff that I've said on the pod prior. So like my mental health journey started in college also. So when I was a freshman, I had did therapy. Like I said, just being around a bunch of 18-year-olds who are away from home for the first time along with myself, it's a whole lot of, uncertainty or like a lot of things that you just don't necessarily know how to verbalize, I guess, in a way. So like I would always, hear about the therapist and whatever. So I just decided to take a trip there one day. It was like, okay, let me see what this is about. And I went, and it was the best decision that I could have made in my college journey. It essentially set me up to be all right once I got out of school and kind of went into the quote unquote real world on my own. Um, so me, like I said, being somebody who has firsthand experience on therapy and just the mental health journey, especially within college, I I am very very much appreciative of this conversation that we're about to have. So yeah.
Can I ask like what type of therapy you did?
Um. So okay. So I didn't know it was like multiple.
Most people don't know, but
Yeah, is regular therapy.
yeah, it was mostly talk therapy. You just like talk to a therapist.
Yes.
That it like talking helps
Yeah. No, it does.
because you're releasing the energy that was once inside of you. Most people don't know that when you are traumatized or when you've been through so much, you need to release that energy somewhere. Whether it's talking or whether it's if you like art, if you like sports, it needs to be released somehow.
Yeah. No, that's a fact for sure. But for me, obviously, since I'm hosting a podcast, talking is my thing. So, So, talking to a therapist wasn't that difficult for me. Like, I do know it's pretty difficult for people to talk to people, period, let alone somebody that they really don't know like that, or that they feel is like their job is to probe and, figure out what's going on. But for me, it wasn't too difficult. Like, I didn't necessarily make it uh easy at first, because I kind of would just go in there for like the first couple weeks and kind of just sit there for a little bit just to kind of get a feel for, like, this new experience, because like I said, I never did therapy prior to that in any capacity. So, I kind of just sat there a little bit, kind of got the feel for it. And then once I got the feel for it, then that's when I started having conversations. And then I guess at some point I kind of became the therapist to my therapist. I was the one asking questions and saying, tell me more about that. Yeah, it was very backwards after a while.
Well, I'm glad that you got help and everything.
Yeah, so you being somebody who's a strong proponent of therapy, have you done therapy yourself?
Yes. So I've done psychodynamic therapy. I've done talk therapy. I've done cognitive behavioral therapy. Um, I've done a lot. I've been in therapy since I was around 18 years old. I'm
Hmm.
23 now, so that's around 7 years.
So,
Um,
yeah, that's
and the
about
thing is, a lot of people have this stigma of there's a limit of when you have to stop therapy, but no, it's your choice. So like, oh, it's my friend, it's my friend on campus. Um, but there's no limit. There's such a wide spectrum of things that you as a person can work on, right?
hmm
So like a person with PTSD, they can do therapy for that. And then there's also things that tie into the PTSD, like depression.
hmm
So now you're doing cognitive behavioral therapy to change the way that you think into a more positive light. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that everybody should try therapy out.
Okay, so question for you. So you mentioned a few different, like, different therapies. Can you explain exactly what these different types of therapies are and what they focus on specifically?
Yes, so I did talk therapy. That was the first one I did. And it was basically you have a therapist and you speak to them a certain amount of times a week. I
Hmm.
believe I did it for about twice a week for 45 minutes. And
Okay.
that helped me to just speak to somebody to let them know what my problems are and release the energy. And then after I started cognitive behavioral therapy, in which they help you change your behavior into more positive, like positive thinking. So when you
Hmm.
have more positive thinking, you have a better routine. So like they helped me with like creating a good morning routine and like a good night routine, because humans need a routine to stay mentally healthy, mentally well, you know? So like meditation in the morning and being present was a really hard thing for me to do, and they taught me how to do that. And I also did the psychodynamic therapy,
Hmm.
which that one was mixed with the wet therapy, which was part of the PTSD that I had. So in this one, it was a writing therapy. So
Okay.
basically, it was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my entire life.
Really?
Not gonna lie. I actually had to take a pause from it
Hmm.
and then tell my PTSD psychologist that I'd like to do this very, very slowly. So
Okay.
what you do is you have to go back to your childhood of such traumatic things that happened in your life, and you have to write down in extreme detail of what happened to you,
Gotcha.
and you need to show that like handwritten, however how long. It doesn't even have to be perfect. You just have to write out
Hmm.
and give that to your psychologist or your therapist, and they're gonna come up and work with a plan for you. And after a while, your brain changes. You start to realize, like, yes, I went through this, but now I'm not going to make that a part of me. I'm not going to make that a part of my identity. That's not who I am. That's what I went through.
Right.
So if you're experiencing symptoms of PTSD, I would strongly recommend wet therapy, WET therapy.
Okay. And what therapy is, like you said, just writing out everything and it doesn't have to be specific to your childhood.
Yes. So like,
Okay.
I'm not going to go too much into detail.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Like, for example, let's say a child was bullied, right?
Hmm.
In primary school. You're going to write down, the child is going to have to write down every single day, or what happened during that day in the morning, what they experienced, what did another classmate say to them,
Hmm.
when did it happen, what time. Because when you have PTSD, your mind and your nervous system is in shock. So when your nervous system is in shock, you have memory loss.
Right.
And so when you go back and you retrace the thoughts and the steps that you experienced, you're like, damn, I really went through that. I really did.
Hmm.
And so it's like facing your problems and facing the trauma that you had.
Yeah. So again, like I think for me, like just having this particular conversation, especially when it comes to childhood trauma or things like that, a lot of like I don't want to say problems, but like a lot of issues that you have as you get older, teenager, young adult, real grown up person, older person, the whole thing always stems from the childhood and those things not being addressed then or not being addressed properly always tends for the most part to show up in a lot of different ways that we either don't acknowledge or we literally just don't know that's happening, and that creates a lot of conflict and issues in friendships, relationships, family relationships, with yourself relationship, like all of that stuff. So
This
yeah.
goes back into, like, you're becoming a young adult. Right?
Hmm.
You're in college, and so you're asking yourself, who am I?
Right.
You don't really know who you are. You're just planted at this college, and you're dealing with these issues now because now your nervous system is kind of waking up a little bit. You were in shock before when you were in high school or primary school, right? So now
Hmm.
you're experiencing this new life as a young adult of who am I? And so you're facing the world, and you really don't know what to do.
Right.
So I think that this is why it's so important to have guidance when you don't have parents and when you don't have the support system that most people, they just have. It's a
Okay.
blessing.
No, this is true. So let me ask you, right? So, you being in school currently, do you feel that the education system kind of gives the proper tools or the proper guidance to students on campuses to kind of get them through those challenges that like those mental health challenges that we're talking about? Do you feel like schools provide those tools?
Luckily, I go to a good university. I'm not gonna lie, like luckily I do. Um, but I would say, like, there's a lot of colleges, specifically in New York, that they just don't have the funding.
Got you.
They don't have the funding for mental health, um, for students with mental health
Hmm.
issues, mental health illnesses. Um, and this goes back to underrepresented areas. So you're not putting money into these places where these children, they do need they need the help.
Yeah.
They do, because it all goes back to mental health. If you can't have a good state of mind, you can't finish your exams. If you don't have a stable household, how are you going to have good grades? and it's not even about good grades. It's
Mm-hmm.
about how am I going to pass because of how hard
Real shit.
the system they're making the system so that you can't graduate.
Mm-hmm.
But I would advocate for the EOP program. I would really advocate for that because some people don't have the money for mental health services and they don't have insurance. But if you are enrolled in college or university, I would strongly utilize the mental health services that they have there.
Yeah, and to kind of follow up on that too, just like I said, just with my experience, I would also say to the universities as well, please make sure you have more than one therapist on campus,
Yes,
please.
please. And
Please.
most importantly, therapists of color.
That too. That too. It's because like for me, like my therapist was pretty opposite of me. Pretty opposite. Uh and for me, it wasn't difficult for me to have conversations with my therapist because it was just me talking to a person. Like it didn't necessarily matter who the person was per se.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's just me and my experience. Like I know a lot of people have a preference to talk to people who come from similar backgrounds or maybe of the same racial background or maybe the same gender or whatever the case may be. For me, it didn't necessarily matter. It was like, oh, you're just a person that has this position at the school. Okay, yeah, I'm talking to you. Let's go.
I'm glad
And that worked for me.
you had a positive experience. How long were you in therapy?
I did therapy. I think I might have did it for 3 years when I was in school, like two and a half, 3 years, or whatever. 'Cause I did it relatively early when I got in. So like I said, I tell the story on the pod a lot, and I was like, I used to walk by the therapist's office every day because it was in one of the buildings that I had to frequent, and the door was always closed every time I walked by. So this particular day, I walked by, the door was open. So I peeked my head in there. I was like, "What you doing in here? Like, what do you do in here?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And they was like, "Have a seat real quick." And I was like, "All right." So I sat down in the seat or whatever, and I, just being myself and my personality. I was like, "Okay, just tell me more. What this button do?" Like that's basically what I was doing.
Yeah.
Eh,
And
Yeah.
that's 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 how you gotta start. You don't
Hmm.
have to start when you think that you need to start. Just do it.
Yeah. And like I said, and I had no intentions of starting or whatever. I just happened to peek my head in there on some curious shit. It's like, what you doing here? And then they slid, and then they got these papers. They did this or whatever to make them straight, and then they slid them across the table. It was like, yeah, fill this waiver out real quick, so that way, yeah, fill this waiver out real quick. And then come back and see me next week. I said, all right, cool. And then I was coming back, and I think I did two. I think did I do 2 times a week? I think I might have did 2 times a week. For 2.5 years. Yeah, and it was the pivotal moment for me, in my college experience because I can honestly say and truthfully say that if I didn't do therapy in college, I would probably not have graduated.
Wow.
Yeah,
You see,
because
it impact just one person.
yeah, because a lot of people don't know. Like I was ready to drop out in like the first month. Yeah, I was ready to drop out in like the first month, but then I was like, no, I'm here. Like I usually don't start things that I don't intend to finish. So let's get to it. Like this is just some shit, that I'm just feeling at the moment because I'm away from home for the first time, and yeah, like I'm worried about how things are gonna function at home without me being there and the whole thing. Like, I cried my first 2 nights of being in college because I was away from home, but like I said, it was things that needed my attention at home at the time. So I wasn't sure how, like I said, everything would function without me being there. Because at the time, I was kind of like the the glue holding things together at that moment. Like at least in my opinion, in an emotional sense, I was kind of holding the glue together, or being the glue to that situation. So when I got to school, I was like, shit, like I'm not there. So is everything gonna crumble? So I felt emotional for those first 2 nights, but then I was like, man, fuck it. All right, let's go. Come on, let's tighten up. Let's get to it.
I think before we were speaking about your experience alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was another thing. So I didn't really get a chance to be alone like that for the good portion of my college career, because obviously you don't tend to be alone, um when you're around people for the first time. Like, people, meet people, and get you find your friend groups, or at least you hope to find your friend groups, or whatever the case. So I was, going through the normal college, first year experience. So then as time went on, I was like super super duper isolated, because a lot of people who I was close with graduated a little bit earlier than I did. And then I just happened to be living in my house literally by myself. So I had a whole lot of time to be by myself, which me and you had a conversation about previous to this, saying that being in isolation is not conducive to human growth, or a good human experience, typically, because we're social beings. Like, you need to have social interaction and be around people. But for me, taking a break from being social all the time was very very good, because I was able to be with myself, and then be in these little social pockets that I could kind of choose to be in, instead of like kind of just having the social pockets like come to me, because I lived in a party house, so everyone was there
That's
all the time.
yeah,
So
a lot of
yeah,
parties in college, and peer pressure is another thing.
yeah, it is. And I think that goes to another conversation that we was having, where you kind of have an identity crisis when it comes to just not being able to know exactly what quote unquote your purpose is, or you living for other people's purposes that they put onto you to say this is what you should be doing, or you should be doing X, Y, and Z, when that may not be what you want to do. And then you go through that phase of, hmm, well, am I really myself, or damn, do I even know what I like?
Yeah,
Right.
especially like if you're 18,
Right.
you're not supposed to know what your whole life and what your whole identity is. Like, we were speaking about this before, where it was like you're asking a 15-year-old, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Now I'm sitting down taking a PSAT, asking myself, like, do I want to become a doctor? Do I want to be a lawyer? And so at that age, 18, 19, 20, 21, you don't really know what your skills are.
Mm-mm.
So if I don't know what my skills are, how am I going to utilize those skills that I know about myself to have a good career that I enjoy and I love?
Yeah. So I guess my question for that would be, do you ever really know what your purpose is in life, or even do you even have a purpose in life? Not you specifically, but you in a general sense.
In a general sense, well, I can't really speak for other people.
Mm,
Everybody has their own opinion of what is the purpose of life.
mhm.
You know, I'm sorry, but my opinion, in my opinion, I believe that there is no purpose in life. I can't tell somebody, hey, if you're good at math, go be a physicist. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, you could be a doctor and a dancer at the same time, you know? So it's like, for me, it's there's no purpose in life. That we're put on this earth to reproduce and die. Like, we're
Mhm.
gonna die. So we might as well be happy in the little moments that we have.
Yeah, I agree because again, and this is no disrespect to anybody that lives life this way because a lot of people live life this way, and again, this is one of those things that we had talked about previously where you kind of only know what you're taught, generally speaking, or at least in that fundamental age range of pre-adolescent, and then you be teenager, so on and so forth. You really don't know what you know until you experience it on your own, other than the things that your parents are teaching you. So then, coming from the previous generations, baby boomers, Gen Z,
Yeah.
yeah, like they was taught to go to school, if go to school at all, get a job, get a house, settle down with a family, work on the plant for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, retire, and hopefully you live another 10, 15, 20 years to quote unquote enjoy life even when you're old and can't move around like that, and not really have fun. But yeah, like I just personally don't think that is like the like you get one life. Like there's no way that you can tell me that is like the purpose of us having this one in quintillion billion chance of being born, and I'm working at Ford for no, that's not the case. That cannot be the life that anybody is meant to live, like, at all. There's no way. There's so much with life that you can experience for just not for that to just be the thing. There's no way that that's the thing.
I agree.
No disrespect.
Um, yeah, of course. Like, this is why Gen Z now is waking up to the societal pressure that a lot of these boomers and these, like, the older generation that they have. Like you said, like, you're going to work for 60, 65 years. And I believe that they actually increased the retirement age.
Hmm.
So you're going to work for more than 65 years of your life, and you're not going to enjoy. What are you going to have 1 week out of the entire year? And you're going to ask your
Exactly.
employer, can I go to the bathroom? Can I eat now? No, you're a human. You're not just something that an employer could use for however how many years to profit off of you.
Right.
So, um, your quality of life is more important than a job.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take a small step back, right? Because I feel like we're attacking the people. so so in your opinion, how do you find like the balance between like having a greater quality of life but still having to kind of do what you need to do in order to have a semblance of a good quality of life?
Yes. So, um, I would say if you're unsatisfied with your life,
Hmm.
ask yourself, what am I doing in my life that's making me unhappy? Is it my job? Is it my employer that doesn't like me? Is it my coworkers that don't like me? Do I like what I'm doing every day at my job? Am I in the right school? Am I in the right major? You know, after work, how do you feel? Are you crying after every shift? Multiple times a week? You know, luckily, thankfully, because, sorry about that.
You're good.
Thankfully, because of COVID, there's more remote jobs, there's more remote
Hmm.
now, and people are taking advantage of that. I would say take advantage of that. And so you can travel the world. Like, you can spend time with your family.
Hmm.
You don't have to be outside 12 hours a day working so hard, and you can't even see your daughter or your son.
Right.
The whole point of you going to work is to create a better life for yourself and, most importantly, for your family.
That's a fact. So let me ask, right? Because again, like I said, I don't necessarily want to paint this picture of like there is no purpose for anyone in the world. Like I want to make that very clear that we are not trying to paint this picture. But but do you feel like it's more like what we're saying is more like in the sense of don't put that type of pressure on people so young. like, as we get older, like mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, and even beyond that, because depending on who you talk to, they'll tell you, I didn't know what the hell I was doing until I was 60 years old or
Yep.
50 years old. So you just feel like we just need to push that a little bit further up instead of asking like you said, a 15-year-old, what's your purpose in life? What do you plan on doing for the rest of your life? Like, bro, I'm a sophomore. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So wait, sorry. Can you repeat the question again?
So do you feel like it's not more so the like don't life doesn't have a purpose, but it's more so just find your purpose or what's your purpose later on in life, and not asking you at 15. Like, we should ask you later down the line. You think that's what it is?
I think there's a difference between a career. You're asking a person, what do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Career, rather than what's my purpose.
Right.
Because your career and your purpose is different. I'm pretty sure if you've heard about ikigai, it's like a balance between, it's like contentment. It's not happiness, where you do things that you love, and let's say you turn your hobby into a job.
Mm-hmm.
Much happier now, But unfortunately, we live in a society where you have to listen to your employer and do things that you don't want to do.
Right.
Go to work at 7 a.m., deal with patients that are literally physically harming you at the hospital, which is another hot topic. But I know my audience here, I'm not sure what the age range of my audience is here.
Mm-hmm.
But my recommendation to you is, if you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, it's okay to not know what you want to do. If you graduate at 22, 23, it's okay. That your life is just beginning. Use the 5 years that you have to travel the world, spend time with your family, create like the business that you've always wanted to create, even though if it doesn't become successful, like, you still did it. You know what I mean? That's my advice.
Yeah. So more. So would you say that that's like contributing to that is more so like the fear of kind of just not knowing what you want to do, or the fear of failing at knowing what you want to do, but and attempting to do it, but just failing at it?
I think a lot of people nowadays, they're scared of failure.
Okay.
I don't think it's so black and white. I think that if you try a lot of things, if you like beauty, go into beauty. If you like real estate, do it. If you like cars, you want to be a car salesman, do it. If you don't like it in 3 months, that's okay. That's the privilege that you have of being in your 20s. It's a blessing to be in your 20s, because you're learning so much about the world and what you like and what I don't like.
Right. Yeah, and and to a point too. It goes faster than you think it does. It goes way faster than you think it does. Because, and like, again, this was what we were just talking about. Like, I was thinking about a lot of the people who have done great things, like people that we look up to and stuff like that, and in any discipline, let alone, just entertainment or whatever the case. And thinking about so many people that have passed away early, and just looking at all the stuff that they've accomplished, and just thinking to yourself like, yo, they was only 22, they was only 24, 25, 27, like, what? And then, kind of, I guess I shouldn't say necessarily comparing yourself to those people, or anybody for that matter, but kind of just thinking like, damn, they was doing this, that, and the third, and I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I want to do. Like, I'm still, I'm still at the house with my parents, like, stuff like that, like, you
That's
know.
okay.
No, right, which is okay, but you go through that thought of like, damn, like, I'm here already. Like, I thought I had more time than that. Which you do, especially if you're comparing yourself to people that passed early who did amazing things or great things. Like you don't know. Like some people, get off and be the best at 18, and then by the time they 22, you don't know about them no more. So it's one of those things of sustaining or building upon the things that you want to do, that you know how to do, making it into a profitable career or making it into a fulfilling thing for yourself, and just continuing to be happy along with trying to live a comfortable life for yourself. You know, all success doesn't look the same.
Really good point. All success doesn't look the same. Say that again.
All success doesn't look the same.
All success doesn't look the same because, like, you could have a nice house, you could have a nice car, but are you happy?
A lot of people who have nice cars and nice houses will tell you, yeah, I'm not happy. I lost my wife, or I lost my husband, or I don't have this family member in my life, or I'm just a miserable person because that's just how I feel. Like, yeah, it's not all painted the same way.
It's
It's,
not. Like, if mine, like, I want to have a garden. I want to
yeah.
have a garden, right? If I don't have this garden, I'm going to be unsuccessful. No, no. If I'm not happy within myself and I don't have peace within myself, and and we were speaking about this before, like,
Mm,
I have the ability to sit down and not have a mind that's racing all the time.
hmm.
That's my version of success.
Yeah, yeah. Because again, like what you said, like just having that conversation prior, like for me, that was one of those things where I was like, okay, my brain is very, very active, and it's active in a way in which it's not productive or conducive to anything that's going to help me moving forward. Which my main thing was, I was worried about or thinking about things that were completely and totally out of my control in any form or fashion. And I just would harp on it, and be like, whatever, like, no matter how hard I thought about these things, nothing would have changed any of the things that had happened, because when I say it was super duper duper out of my control, like I would have had no influence on this shit whatsoever. Like it wouldn't have mattered, but that was just a thing for me.
Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Can I ask, like, what you were thinking about?
It was a multitude of things. So it was like thinking about family stuff, thinking about like stories that my friends might have told me, that I was like, damn, like again, like only if I was there to help you through that, or stuff like that, or if it was like relationship stuff at the time, like it was like, oh, like, damn. Man, that's crazy. But again, a lot of this shit was things that wouldn't have mattered for, like, to me anyway, because I wasn't there to begin with. So, like, what the hell was I going to do? What am I going to do? Create a time machine and go back in time and reverse? Like, no,
Yeah,
no. You,
that's a really good point. Of um, a good book. I said this before. Is don't believe everything you think.
don't believe everything you think.
Don't believe everything you think.
Okay, okay.
And it te- I think around, like, the first few pages, it teaches you about what's the difference between thinking,
Hmm.
what's the difference between a thought. And so
Okay.
a lot of people, they ruminate about unnecessary things that don't benefit them. There's
Yep.
no worry. I would recommend, if you have that issue, what I personally do is I have, like, a worry time.
Oh, worry. Oh, say it again.
A worry time.
Oh, worry time. Okay. Talk.
Yeah.
Explain what that is.
Yes. So, like, I have what, 8 hours during the day to do my work and
Hmm.
study. Right. I have a specific worry time for about, let's say, 20 minutes.
Hmm.
No more, not 30. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. 10 to 20 minutes of worrying, because that will save you so much time.
Hmm.
Because, like, you're trying to focus on so many things throughout your day, planning throughout your day, but you're occupying your time worrying. So your mental space is it's not in the right headspace. And so you can't focus on your school. You can't even like focus on hanging out with your friends. While you're hanging out with your friends, you're worrying about like, oh my gosh, like this is what's happening back at home. You know, like this is what's happening with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get a job. I have to do this. I have to apply to grad school. You know, like so. As a student, it's really, really important to allocate your time wisely.
Yeah. So again, like that was one of those things where I had to kind of like self-regulate myself. Um because I was spending a lot of time like a lot of people do like and I do I and this was one of the things that I learned because like I just had to like go into the rabbit hole and research this shit really really detailed. And this is much more of a thing that people do than you realize. It's like this is
So
very very prominent.
don't talk about it. And the thing is, when you think too much, you have disorganized thinking.
Mhm.
So when you develop disorganized thinking, that's a symptom of schizophrenia.
I'm schizophrenic.
Call that upon anybody. So you will not believe what the criteria for schizophrenia is. Schizophrenia is when there's too much dopamine in the brain.
Okay.
So your mind is racing. Your mind is everywhere. Think of it like a bunch of cars
Mhm.
together. You know what I mean? Like you need balance. You need that balance. You need that tranquility. So we don't want to have people with symptoms of schizophrenia because over time,
Mhm.
if you have that disorganized thinking and you can't organize your thoughts, or at least you can't make the time to worry or have that awareness of what am I doing right now? Be present in where you are at. That's really it. Being present, breathing.
Okay. So I agree 1,000% with being present because again, like going through that process of me ruminating a lot, like I had to like kind of hunker down and be like, okay, okay, where are we? Like, where are we now? Where are my feet? Like, are my feet right here? Okay, cool. Okay, what's going on in my life now? Okay, am I or is all my family right here? Okay, cool. Can I pick up my phone and call my friends and it just be a normal conversation? Okay, cool. Is my girl over here? Like, okay, okay, cool. All right. Why am I back here? Like, get
Why?
here. Right. So that was my that was my thinking. So like I had to like self-regulate, as I was ruminating. It's like, okay, cool. All right, my feet are here. I just have to be here. I can't be anywhere else other than here. I can't do shit about yesterday, and I can't do shit about tomorrow. I can only do anything. I can only do something about today, right here, right now. Let me do that, so that way my tomorrows could be better. And yesterday, hey, it was I wasn't there for a lot of them yesterdays that I'm thinking about, so it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. Like the I would say a good technique is using the box method and
The box method.
box method.
Okay, what's that?
Number one, it is when you just imagine like a box in front of you. So you're
Hmm.
gonna breathe 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're just gonna keep doing this, and then after that, I'm gonna ask myself, what are 5 things that I can see? What are 5 things that I can smell?
Yes. Okay, I
What
do know
are
this.
5 things that I can feel? When my therapist told me this, I did it, but I didn't really see a difference.
Hmm.
Right? So I started lighting incense that I liked. Like, let's say you like strawberries. I don't know, like light a candle with strawberries. Like put your favorite shoes on, like you said. My feet are here,
Hmm.
and that's what helped me. Like, I would say surrounding my life with things that I like what do I like, and then implementing that and meshing that together with the therapy techniques.
Okay. Okay. So for you, like currently, how has that helped you get from the anxiety and depression stage that you were in to where you are currently right now as we're speaking? How has those techniques helped you?
It it changed my entire life. I was at a point in my life where I was like, "There's no point in me living." I didn't
Oh,
want to wake up every day,
I got you.
and I have confidence in myself to say this to people now. Before, I wouldn't want to say this, but I'm saying
Okay.
this to help other people, and I'm saying to everybody watching here, it gets better.
It does.
It gets better. What you're going through right now is temporary. There's people out there that are so happy to help
Oh, I'm listening to you.
That's my piece of advice. Um, Before, I used to have. Oh my gosh, the wind. That's a sign
No, it ain't gonna stop. It ain't gonna stop us. We good.
we're behind time. But I'm gonna leave with this. You're not alone. You are not alone. And if you're dealing with depression and anxiety or whatever you're dealing with right now, I would strongly recommend therapy.
Absolutely.
And I would strongly recommend a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and the therapies that they recommend to you. Try and mesh that together with things that you like, and kind of like make it like like your own story or like your own routine.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see how your life is going to positively change. There's so
Yeah.
much the world has to offer. You don't even know. Get
This
out.
is
Get
facts.
out from the bed. Get up.
It's crazy. I was just about to say that because I was just about to say movement is medicine. Like you have to
Motion is
move.
lotion.
Yeah, I don't know that one, but I like it.
Yes.
But yeah, movement is medicine. Like you have to get up and just be active. Like I said, you don't have to be doing the most extravagant things in the world, but just getting up to take a walk or just going to go get some coffee or whatever your thing is that you just do. Just get up and go do something. You can't just sit with your thoughts and harp on things because that's how you get into these places where you feel like you can't get out of, which is never necessarily the case because like you said, it does always tend to get better. You just have to keep working at it and allow yourself help too. That's another thing. A lot of people do not want to accept help when it comes to these things because you feel like, oh, nobody understands what I'm going through or whatever, not really understanding that there are millions of people, literally millions of people that are going through the same things and have experiences that may have been far worse than yours or might not be as bad or whatever the case, but people have support systems and they've done the self work to come up out of that and trek on and live a life that you would be like, oh, I never would have imagined that there was anything wrong with you or there was anything that you might have went through or whatever the case may be. And like you said, it gets better in that aspect. You have to keep going and do the things that's necessary to get you up out of there. And like you said, it's people around like me, like you, and like a bunch of people who will definitely extend a hand to support you because we're all in this fight together. And the fight is always going to be ongoing because that's just the nature of being a human being on Earth. So yeah. That's I'm gonna leave with that or whatever, but I always want to make sure I'm giving you the floor because you are
Um,
magnificent in your approach to this, and you are definitely giving really really good advice, especially coming from, like I said, an experience and a background that consists of what we're talking about specifically. So I will give you the last word.
uh, Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. First of
Yeah,
all.
of course. You have to come back for sure, so that way we can have a full-fledged longer conversation.
Yes. So yeah, like I would just say like I said before, you're not alone. Like, and there's always a different type of therapy to help you, depending on what you're experiencing. If you guys have any other questions, you guys can follow my Instagram. And I do mental health content and confidence as well. I also do beauty. So you guys can follow me there. Feel free to DM me any questions.
Where can they find you? What's your Instagram?
Kesha, Kesha Caldero, Coldero.
Okay, cool. Are you anywhere else, or is it just Instagram?
I have TikTok as well. Same name, Kesha Caldero.
Okay. And before we go, do you want to say anything? You want to shout out anybody or shout out anything before we go?
Shout out to God. Thank you, God. Yes.
Always.
University, EOP.
Okay.
And all the EOP programs out there.
Shout out to the EOP programs.
Yes.
Okay. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of HolloTalk Podcast with Jetpack Nick and my homegirl Kesha. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. We definitely have to get you back on here so we can have a 2-3 hour conversation, because this is one of them conversations that needs to be a lot longer. But I ain't gonna hold you up no longer. I want to thank you for coming on the HolloTalk Podcast to talk with me for a little bit. And thank you to all the HolloTalk Podcast listeners and supporters for supporting us through and through. Peace and love, y'all.